And call the meeting to order. Special board meeting for strategic planning and superintendent evaluation contract. I guess my thought is the strategic planning and well, we can talk about them separate, but they go pretty much hand in hand, I think. And everybody had this, right? Their findings. I guess when I look at it, I look at the third page on this here sheet, and to me, the bullets right there, the 5 themes, are basically to me what the meat of what the group, community group, and us
as a whole
come to. Does everybody kind of, Mr. Ridley, you think that to be the case?
Well, that's the people that were there. Those were the 5 key areas that were seem to be the most important to everybody.
And obviously among each of those are going to be, you just take the one bullet, facilities. We've got a lot of things to talk about and decide there. So I'm not sure exactly what direction we want to go as far as getting this. Do you have any?
Well, I think it's going to be an awfully large task to, put a lot of quality in all 5 of these areas. I mean, we need to address them all for sure. But I guess I would like to know what, like maybe the top 3 of the board would be, and then I'll try and prepare some kind of a planning guide to address those issues.
Something I was wondering as I was looking through this is, like some of this, don't we already offer that or provide that? And so I guess, we need to kind of know where we are, and that would be more what you'll have to give us is,
sure,
where are we in each of these areas, what is the state of our facilities? I'm just throwing that one out there because most of us know the state of our facilities, but, what can you provide for us that, things that need to be done, and, and technology, like,
well, as we looked at
what do we need?
the facility issue, we had our previous plan that was put together, and we looked at that and went over that. And most of those bullets have been addressed with the exception of the large projects. So, if we're looking at tracks and air conditioning gyms and those big type projects like that, redoing the auditorium, a lot of parking lot things and stuff like that, we're going to probably have to try and do something with the bond issue.
That's that was my other wondering is, how much of this, like with the technology or any of these, the accountability probably not so much, but how much of it can we afford at this point? And how much of it do we need to go out and find more funds?
Well, I think before we really talk about can we afford it, we got to figure out what it is.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
Everybody had people back for Christmas and the whole thing. And,
right.
I was talking to some of them, and they said, well, every one of our kids has an iPad in their school. It's like, that's an extreme case, obviously, but is that where we need to be looking? I don't know.
My sisters say they all have iPads, but they got it through a grant. They applied for a grant.
Can you look into that, maybe that's
They told me that the smaller districts were actually at an advantage because of Apple's willingness to provide some assistance in those. And I think we heard a little bit of that at the meeting in Wichita. So, I don't know. That's something that we would.
And they did say there was a huge learning curve to having iPads in class. The teachers had to learn how to shut things down.
Right.
There's issues with iPads. Any kind of, well, not
Any
any kind of
technology.
tablet necessarily, but since we're a Windows-based school, you know, you're looking at different operating systems. When you go to the iPads, you know, as nice as they are and all the things they do, they're not a computer, they're a tablet. So as far as like the computing skills, those types of things where we use our laptops now are more limited, but there's a lot of applications they have that, you know, the downside of using Apple stuff is that you use whatever Apple gives you. And, you know, I can see them used more for a special instance rather than just a school-wide thing. Like I said, we're Windows right now, so if we're gonna look at tablets, I would probably consider, you know, a Windows tablet rather than the iPad, just because of the operating system and that it would fit in more with what we're doing. We already have, you know, we've already got the software purchased, those kinds of things. And visiting with Scott and Sean, we talked about iPads, we've been talking about them for 2 years, because, you know, that's what I was talking to them about. Sean doesn't recommend it. There's issues as far as, it's not that if you put an iPad for every kid on top of what we already have, you're gonna need probably another full-time IT person, you know, because it's just a whole different animal compared to what we have now. And, you know, those are some of the downsides. I mean, there's a lot of good things to them, I'm not saying there isn't, but just, I guess my thought is it's kind of this year's new thing, and there are other tablets coming out now that can do a lot of
The
things.
Windows-based.
Well, they're a lot
Yeah, I mean,
cheaper than
and when I say iPad, I mean, that's
Just
just
a
what everybody
tablet, yeah.
uses, but I don't think,
It's
yeah, I don't.
Yeah.
For versatility's purpose,
Yeah.
Windows-based one would be.
The thing to remember though is that, like I said, as far as that goes, with additional instruments comes additional help. Because I can't see any way that the personnel we have now, the time they have allowed or allotted, if we, you know, go one-to-one tablets, even at the highest junior, senior high, we're looking at 165 more instruments on top of the computers that we're already working with now. So that's a thought, something to keep in mind. I mean, that's just part of it.
So not only would we be looking at cost of tablets, but we also be looking at cost of maybe a full-time position to service those tablets and
I think so.
help keep them working.
One of the things that was talked about was, I think that you talked about one of the schools, they filmed the teacher and then loaded it up. I think something like that would be way cheaper, because you only need one, or you wouldn't even have to use a tablet to do it, but, you know, and then we put it on a school Facebook page or something like that. I think the kids, as far as getting something out of that, might be,
Yeah,
for the,
I mean,
for the cost of it, I don't know.
Yeah.
And that's another direction that we can look at is what technology do we have and how can we utilize that technology in better or more efficient ways? Because like, you know, they're talking about, one of them was talking about Facebook and, you know, who would be in charge of getting a Facebook page started for the district and who would keep that up for us? And I think that'd probably be an easy way of using technology and kind of meeting some of the goals that are set here. And I think that's probably a way of going, you know, yeah, we can discuss tablets and adding those in, but what do we have already? And what can we do with that we already have and make it a little bit better?
And we already have a kind of a built-in upgrade to our computer system anyway, right? I mean, each year we have a, you know,
Right,
so
yeah,
can we
yeah.
look at, you know, instead of buying laptops, we go to the tablet or whatever, I mean, those kinds of things as far as, you know, I don't
Be a
know.
possibility.
Buy a number of tablets every year instead of laptops, and I don't know what the costs are on any of this stuff, but,
Well, I don't know, we just have to look to see how applicable that would be to what we're trying to do, you know, in the classrooms. I don't know, I'm just throwing that out there, I don't know if that would be reasonable or even something along the.
Well, and the other thing is, you know, how do the teachers and the other people, you know, in the classrooms, how do they feel about all of this? Do they feel like, you know, what are their ideas of where this could go and stuff like that? Because, you know, they're there, they're in the front lines every single day, and so, you know, what can they tell us too? I mean, I know several of them are at the meeting already, but not all of them, obviously, so. Getting ideas from there too.
Okay.
Teachers might not wanna be filmed, I don't know, you know?
My sister-in-law
Well-
says you don't see her, you just see her doing the problem or whatever,
And
Matt.
hear her explaining it.
Right. And I'm not sure how she did it, because we were talking about this. And
Sounds like it's plugged into like a projector or something where she's.
she has a projector, and I don't know how all it's done, but yeah, she said
I
you can
have
get
no
all your
idea how it
assignments and
works.
all your, you know, to have her, you know, as she works the problem away from her. But I don't know, and I think that was at Hayes High, and the kids have laptops, I don't think they have iPads.
Well, when we toured those schools, you know, they was writing out, you know, when they'd work a problem, it was digital overhead projected on the, so I'd assume those kinds of things could be, do we have any of those kinds of, or do we do?
Yeah, we
Can
have-
those be?
We have Elmos in all the rooms which the teachers use for projecting. There's projectors in all the classrooms. Several of them, can't remember, I think there's 4 or maybe 5, can't remember for sure. We have smart boards at the grade school that teachers use.
Well, so she is, the kids can go there and get they're sick. You know, call them to school or whatever.
And they put these where?
I'm not sure, it wasn't YouTube, I'm not sure where they have them, but that there must be some sort of a,
Well, they can be, I'm sure that, you know, we had a lot of in-service a couple of years ago on how to teach teachers how to make their own webpage. And they can make their own webpage off of the school webpage. And that stuff could be put in there by class, you know.
yeah, I don't know, she rattled off stuff, I didn't catch it all, but yeah, and I thought it was, you know, that makes it, you know, for the high school kids, they can get their own stuff, and she said, and if they didn't get it in class, they could look at it.
Say we did look at or try to implement something like that, just say we did, what kind of, you know, I mean, we would have teachers that I could see would be all over it, and I could see some that, you know, might resist or take extra time to, how do
Well, I
you,
think
how do you do?
The big thing is we'd have to have some in-service on it. Maybe bring some teachers from, that are doing it and talk to our teachers about how they do it and why they do it and how easy it is and the benefits of it. And that would probably ease some of the, you know, the negative thoughts about it.
What about this idea of having the kids help the teachers, you know, obviously keeping private stuff private and the teacher would have to work with the kids very closely, but having the kids help them helping teachers build their own web pages and putting stuff up there and stuff, I mean, because that was also another thing was getting the kids more into technology as well. And so what if we,
Mr. Parker does some of that now. I'm not sure if the kids are doing the webpage stuff, but they come in and will help as teachers, I guess, set up like a PowerPoint or something like that, or they do something, but I'm not sure what all they do. But yeah, that could be a possibility.
Well, for like Carl said, for the teachers that wanna be all over it, if they wanna be, you know, the beginners and start, you know, see how it works. I mean, I'm not
There would
thinking.
I would guess there would probably be a few teachers that would be willing to jump right in there and do it. You know, others might take a little while.
Was there a way we could, or do we even know enough to experiment with it? I mean, could we have somebody, one of them that we just think would do that? Just kind of see how it would work?
Yeah, I believe we have one or two that would probably be willing to do it. I'd have to check with Scott and Sean, see how we could set that up and how we would save those.
I mean, what's the rest of you think? Is that something that might just have somebody kind of,
I think that's an excellent
Testing.
idea, I just think that we need to have specific everything. Do we want them testing out what it's like to, tape themselves and get it up on a webpage and see how that works with kids and stuff? Or do we want them to do something different, do we want them to do more than that? I think we have to define exactly what it is we're getting them to do we're testing out, you know what I'm saying?
well, I guess my thought is the lesson.
Is the lesson plan and what they do with lessons every day.
Yeah, I think, I don't know which teachers would volunteer, but let's just say, to me, like, say a science teacher volunteer. And then promotional, the Science Olympiad, that kind of stuff, what they're doing there. I think just things to get kids interested. Like kids in grade school could look on there, if they got onto the page, and, oh, wow, that looks pretty neat, or just kind of a promotional type also.
Yeah, I think we need to have a school district Facebook page, and those would be ideal places to put that kind of stuff. Positive, academic oriented.
And that's what they said down there, that's exactly what they put out there, those kinds of things with the.
And that's something I would love to see us implement probably sooner versus later, is just getting a Facebook page started up and having someone in charge of, I think anybody can put stuff on there, but just having someone who would be monitoring what's being put on there.
I think you want to.
I think we'd want to limit our who could put stuff on.
Yeah, you need to have a limit on who is gonna post on it, for sure.
Well, I'm talking like teachers and stuff like that is when I'm saying anyone. I'm not talking about public, I'm talking about, if you have a district Facebook page, the teachers any one of the teachers can get on there and say, hey, look at what my group did this weekend, or look what the basketball team did this weekend, or something,
Those would be all things we'd have to talk about, how we're gonna manage that, and how we would do that.
Do you think the teachers would be on board with it?
So,
Let me ask you this, if some teachers were really on there promoting, do you think it would inspire the ones that didn't like it, or do you think they would just still stay?
there'd be some people that, some of our veteran teachers that Facebook is a foreign word to them. I've never been on Facebook, I've been on the site, I don't have a Facebook account, I've never posted Facebook, I've never done anything, so it would take a little bit for me to learn.
So I
And
think
I've got a
we
little,
have some-
I've got a little background with computer. There's some teachers that, outside of being able to get on their grade book and, put some stuff in, they just have, in their field, they just have never used, pages like that before.
Well, when it comes to training on Facebook, you almost don't even need to go outside of our district to find someone, right? We
Probably
can
not, no.
just use our tech guys.
Kids.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
It's
pulled
like-
in a couple of kids and eighth graders.
Exactly.
What
There are a
if,
couple
know,
junior
but-
high kids in there, and
But
then we
I-
have.
what if there was an individual that wasn't tied to the school though, that we could, maybe,
I think it'd be really important to get it set up right
Yes.
from the beginning.
that's what I
Not
mean, maybe
just
set it up
do it
for us
and then
and pay them to
backpedal.
set it up for us, somebody that would be rehearsed in that kind of thing. And have them help us, guide us.
Next Tech has done this, haven't they, in their territory? You said Hayes has one.
Case high, well, I don't know what they do.
Yeah.
Cause that one school, they had it
Well,
up
I
and
get-
going for a whole month before they put it out there. They had it going, they
Sure.
posted to it, cause you don't wanna put a site out there to have anything on it, cause people go to it once and they're done, so.
Yeah, if it isn't right, yeah.
They run it for over a month until they,
Load it up and.
yeah, and then put it out there, and they was very successful, and I could see how it would be.
If it's done right. sure.
Would we want to explore that though, to find somebody?
Well, I think what the boards need needs to do is tell me what you wanna do, and then I'll explore some ideas and bring it back to you.
Well, I think we need to get one started.
Possibility.
Maybe, yeah.
So I think
I-
first thing is set up a Facebook page with the district.
Yeah, I think that's
And then we can do that.
for sure.
And then, do we wanna find a teacher who is willing to do, like, maybe, where she puts her lessons, or he puts their lessons on, that they do every day and stuff like that,
See how it works.
and see how it works.
Well, I
that
think
would be
so,
good.
we're gonna have to get the page set up and,
It would take about a month of lessons to get on, I mean, it would take a little while for them to get, but if we had one or two teachers that's willing to jump in and do that.
Alan, do you have a Twitter account?
Yes.
You do?
Well, no, I'm serious, that's the other thing they said that every district
At
should
Hill
have.
City High.
To put out different things that's going on and, yeah, I mean, see, that would be something we already have that hardly anyone knows that we could utilize to, every one of them down there said that. Facebook, Twitter, I mean, it was like, they said one, they said the other.
You just like to put stuff on there that's going on, like there's a game tonight or
Yeah,
tomorrow night.
That'd
Or
be like
Or-
Twitter.
Or FFA
Shooting
kids
score
took
at
first
halftime
and
coming.
whatever.
Yeah.
or-
Shooting.
Olympiad, 1, 2, and, you know, whatever it is, science Olympiad, you know, whatever it is, just to get, again, the information out to people that they may not know that the school's doing. You know, good stuff.
I don't understand Twitter at all, but
I don't know.
if you say you tweeted, Olympiad got first and second, now can anybody come in there and comment on that, or how does,
No.
okay.
You can, I mean, you'd have to have a Twitter account, and then you could make a comment off your Twitter account.
But it doesn't come back on the
No,
school?
no, it doesn't come on mine.
Yeah, if you like it or share it
Yeah,
or
you
whatever,
can
it'll,
like it or whatever,
it'll
or you can
show on
retweet it.
yours. Yeah,
Right.
you can retweet
Okay.
it, but you can't change the original.
Do
Right.
you
Well,
tweet,
not even
Carl?
just change, just.
No,
Just-
you
you
can't
have to
add
keep
to
up
it
with
because
what
I'm the
my
only one that
daughter's
has the, or whoever's running it has the ability to enter stuff onto that account.
Okay.
Good question, because I mean, I don't know, and I would venture to guess half of our teachers don't know. So,
I don't want to
we
know,
said
that's
we
the
want
problem.
everybody to tweet, start tweeting and have a Twitter account, they're gonna go, wow.
Well, you know, schedule
do it.
changes and all the things that you could never do once you set something and something changed, you had no way to access everybody. Now, if everything is utilized, you got instant access to everybody.
The other thing though, you know, you talk about all this stuff, how do we get it out to the public that, hey, we now have a Facebook page, we now have a Twitter account that you can check out. And if there's an announcement, go to this.
Well, I think when you got something people will use and is informative, they will go there, and we can get it out, and I think that's why it's important to get it set up and something that's very usable and get information before we tell it, you know, before we're advertising, we have a Facebook
I
page.
think there's a lot of people that access the, school web pages to see the menus. I mean, we could put a
Right.
big
Big flashing on
flashing
the
right on the
homepage
front,
there, yeah.
and now have Facebook, Twitter,
Check out our Facebook account, have a
Follow.
link to it,
yeah,
Yeah.
all kinds
we
of
can do
things.
that. And we could utilize the paper maybe, put some ads in there. Put some posters up at ball games and stuff. I mean, there's a lot
Once
of.
the kids
Once
get
it's
a hold
out
of
there,
it, it'll
once
be.
the word is out there, I mean, we don't,
And
we
there's
don't
some-
have to do a lot of it.
Like Carl was saying, if there's something on there current and people wanna look at, I mean, that's why it's important, I think, my feeling, is that you have 3 or 4 people that manage the Facebook page, so there is current information being on there all the time. Because if it's just left to whoever wants to post, it's not gonna happen.
We won't find time to do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we have to make it a priority to
Yeah.
whomever we
Right.
decide.
Whereas if, you know, if some teachers have something going on, maybe they could call, say Scott, if he's one of the guys, maybe they could call, he could go get a picture and put something together and put it out there for them. You know, I don't know.
Well, that's the thing about it. You got I mean, on mine, I could take a picture right here and have it on Facebook now. I mean, it's just,
You could, I could, because I
whoever,
could.
whoever,
Board
and I
item,
think we
board
might
item.
also have people amongst the school, you know, yourself or Alan or.
I think too that, you know, we wanna put a lot of good information, but I don't know that you wanna just overwhelm it with every little thing that's happening, you know what I mean?
Well, no,
It's gotta be good quality stuff.
yeah, I mean, something of significant,
Yeah.
I don't think,
Well, that's where that manager would come in, because they could maybe weed out some of those things that, "Oh, I don't know if you wanna tell every kid that, you know, the bathroom now works or something." It's like, that's not
see,
something.
if we was digitally inclined as a board, every meeting, we could, pull that up and look and, you know, we could keep the direction of that thing. I mean, I think that's,
Well,
Well, and that would help us to see if our goals are being met, is just to kinda, you know, see, you know,
Well,
how it's going.
okay, yeah, we're not gonna determine what's on that's probably a misstatement. The board ain't gonna manage the, we can at least see what was out there. I mean, you know, now, how do you, I guess we go home and surf the,
Go to USD281.com.
yeah. That's true.
but Scott does a fairly good job of keeping things up to date on that webpage. But it's a lot
it's not
faster and
promotional
easier.
like a Facebook page.
Right,
Right.
yeah, right.
Yeah, I mean, that's what it's supposed to be, is
Right.
to promote what we're doing.
Right. For more in-depth information, that'd probably be a good place for a quick hitter and, yeah.
Well, and a lot of people didn't, when they check their Facebook, like for me, when I check my Facebook, it's all on my feed, and so maybe if he puts something up there for, the district, and it shows up on my feed, oh, that's cool, I didn't know that was going on this weekend, or whatever, you know. Things that I wouldn't even think to go to the website to look at, I would see on Facebook, because it would just pop up.
Okay, so we want a Facebook page. You're gonna figure that out? Okay.
Now, is this stuff that, Mr. Seacrest put together? The all these?
Those were from the committees.
Yeah.
I guess going back to all this though, you know, Facebook page is one thing, but do we want to prioritize these 5 goals and say which one is, number one, you have to focus on that one first as a board, and then, you know, or try to prioritize them, or at least do maybe a top 3, because like you said, this is a very large task, and there's a lot that needs to be, would need to be done with each one of these, and so I think prioritizing them is probably a key thing to do.
Well, right, and I think some of these things like, oh, you just take any of them, technology, expanded curriculum, what does that mean?
That's what I was just looking at.
Exactly.
You know, we can do a lot of things, all we gotta have is the money.
Yeah, but I guess to me,
No, that's what I said.
what I
all
think of
along.
that as expanded curriculum is, I don't know that I mean, or that I see we have a whole new wing developed. Like, we take things we're already doing and that teacher implements some kind of technology to
So it's not really expanding the curriculum.
Well, I
it's
think that was
more
part of it, but-
integrating technology into the curriculum.
No, I think it's a combination of both, but I understand we can't just go in here and start adding stuff. But to me, it's to get there. You gotta start somewhere, and if that means we start pushing some, offering things, in classes we already have, via the web or whatever, or things that they can experience, the kids, you know, maybe that's where we start. You're not talking about a new teacher, you're talking about just utilizing the technology we have. You know, experiencing what jobs are out there in certain classes that are related to that class.
Well, and
Yeah, I
I
don't-
think my question on this too is what technology classes do we already have out there? You know, and that's probably where I
And
don't.
what do they do in those classes?
Exactly, because it's like, do we have a web page class? Do we have a, you know, I don't know, and what about other schools? What kind of technology classes do they have? That we could maybe use as well, or put in as well. I don't know.
Well, I guess, just like the one class we went down to there, the music class was on an iPad, and again, here's the iPad, whatever it is, whatever tool we're using. To me, that's what we're talking about. They now have a music class that they're utilizing technology to develop, and the interest was a lot higher. You know, I don't know if there's things in math that we could do the same thing with. I mean, I know there's a lot of awesome things in math on computers. Are we utilizing that stuff? I don't think we have to create a whole new curriculum to start doing the things that are on this list, to me.
Well, on the music side though, I mean, would our music teachers want to do something more with technology, or would they want that, I mean, in the classes that already exist, or would they want to have another class? I mean, they may be interested in doing the technology, but they may feel that it would be better as a whole nother class versus just putting it in what they already have. And I'm just using that as an example. Maybe that's the same way with other people as well.
We're blowing your mind or what?
Well, adding
It
classes
could be a
is really,
lot.
I
It
mean,
could be a
with the
lot.
number of kids, it's gonna
Yeah,
be really
that could
tough.
be-
let me speak to a couple of things, okay? First of all, you gotta look at economy of scale. You know, where you guys went, or the 5A high school,
Yeah.
they have a lot of kids, you say music, okay. If I'm the band director, I'm not going to spend, I'm not gonna wanna spend all that time doing that with that technology, because I'm teaching the kids how to play the instruments. You want a marching band, you want a pep band, the kids have to spend time practicing those instruments if you want those kinds of activities. In a large 5A school, or wherever, that's probably was like a music technology class, or a general music type class, where they can take that class and get their language arts credit for their diploma. For us, I feel like we would have to basically create another class for that, and whether or not we would have enough kids that would be interested in doing it, one thing. And the other thing that's always in the back of my mind, you know, we have a radar program, good FFA program, FOAG, music program, all those programs are pretty good. We start adding in a lot of more classes like that, where are those kids gonna come from? They're gonna come from those other electives. So those are always things that you have to keep in mind, is we only have so many kids.
Do we do that at the
See, I
expense of the
guess
other programs?
Right, that's what
Right.
happened.
So maybe more.
I
Yes,
just
you
don't
can do
think
it.
I just don't see it as adding, I mean, the music thing probably, but take a math class. Why can't you develop technology in there that we don't have now? Go out and show
I
them
think
some of the applications that are available,
I
some of
think
the,
we can, Carl.
you
We have to coach up the teacher though.
well, I
They don't
think,
know how to do it.
well, I agree, but I just
I think as far
don't
as
think
goals
you,
for the board, maybe it should be coaching, I mean, 'cause you're talking math, but I mean, we have probably chemistry, biology,
Science,
Yeah.
all of
even
that.
English, any of those could be.
Well,
a
even
lot
the
of-
little kids will play games that do math that they don't realize are doing math.
Yeah.
But they get to use the computer, so that makes it cool.
So maybe ways of integrating technology in our existing classes and teaching our teachers to do that, without, requiring too much more of them, because that's the other concern I have, is they're already doing so much right now with what they've got, a lot of them are, that if we say, okay, now add some more technology to your class, they're gonna sit there and say, what? I can't do
Well-
what I'm doing now.
Let me speak to that, and maybe Alan can help me out. Was it 2 to 3 years ago, we basically devoted almost all of our in-service to technology? And we had people come in that gave teachers all kinds of information on technology, sites to go through to
Should have
develop
done.
different lesson plans for the class and all that stuff. I bet we don't have 2 or 3 of them using it.
I agree.
That's what I wonder, so.
Well, our job is
And
to
so-
make sure that we're preparing our kids for
Right.
after high school. And this is part of it, so we need to figure out how to do that. I mean,
Do we make it part of the
Technology's
teacher
not going away.
evaluations then?
what's that?
Technology is not going away, it's
Well,
only
no,
gonna
it's
get
not, and I
more.
think we're doing, you know, we
And-
can't,
Well, I wouldn't say.
But do
You
we-
what?
I said, I had a parent in my office the other day who was complaining about some of the technology we were doing, and that it's not being done at the junior and senior high school. And I said, well, it will be, it's gotta be time. It usually comes from the elementary and then kind of
Works
works
its way
its way through. But they didn't feel like the kids were, his kid anyway, was getting what they should have got.
you mean
Out of
getting
class
enough
because-
of it?
No, they were spending too much time on technology
Oh,
and not
too
enough
much.
time on what they needed to know. How to add, multiply, subtract, and
Yeah,
divide.
I think know a lot of that too.
So, I don't disagree with what you're saying. We're just gonna have to have some meetings with teachers and to figure out how we're gonna get there.
Well, you know, the whole education thing as a whole, what they talk about scares me, cause it seems like they are going past the basic stuff. We're skipping all the, this is the fundamentals, now you gotta be able to apply it before you're doing the fundamentals. But if that's where everything's going, then, you know, we kinda have a obligation to make sure our kids are prepared for that.
We could get in a whole philosophical debate on this
I
one, I
know.
think, so I think we
I
can move on.
read an article not too long ago that the guy said we should be teaching our kids anything that they can't Google or they can't get on their phone.
Well, that's a scary thought, but.
Yeah.
Anyway, so do we wanna, like, on the, because you said the teachers, they had all this given to them a couple years ago, and, you know, they don't use it now, so do we want that as a part of their evaluation, where you almost have to, I mean, I don't know if that's the
It
direction
is.
we wanna go, but,
It is a big part of the new evaluation.
Yeah, there's
So
a,
there'd be
there's
more
a
emphasis on stuff.
section of it that deals with technology.
And how they're using it in the classroom, that kind of thing?
How they're using it and how the kids are using it. Because
Well,
it's
that's good.
one thing for the teacher to use it, but if they actually have the kids use it, then that's where you want to go.
so all this talk with technology, do we wanna make that one of our priorities, or, I mean, I don't know, I'm looking at these other goals, and I'm thinking.
Well, I have no doubt based on it's a priority, and I think it was with the group, and I think we need to make it with,
I think the one, to me, is, facilities is kind of off from the others. I mean, the others you can kind of make work together a little bit, but facilities is totally separate.
Right.
well, we have some issues there that
Right,
we need to
You
address.
know, if we're looking at doing some facilities, like technology and cater to post-secondary choices, that need to kind of work those in together, maybe.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that, I don't really know what that means, 'cause, you know, we're doing some of that. with
Right, so,
Yeah,
even
Well,
promote
that's-
accountability for students and staff and parents, I mean, you could put technology into that.
Mr. Stein,
Yeah.
we do some of the, job, what's it called? Where like they take an hour and they go to a job and work out of the school.
Yeah, we have a work study
Work
program.
study. How does that, do we have a lot of kids doing that, or is how?
No. This year, we've probably got more kids than we've ever had. I think we've got 4.
Does the school have a list of businesses that would be willing to do that, or is this all on the student to say, hey, you know, I wanna do this and this?
Most of the time, it's the student's responsibility to approach a place of business and talk to their employer or talk to their immediate supervisor and see if they would be willing to, you know, oversee the program. Because they're the ones that have to sign off that they're working the hours that they are. And we've got a young lady that works down here at one of the banks. We have a young lady that works for a farmer rancher type gal. We have another gal that's, what does she do?
But have we ever sent out to the businesses saying, hey, the school's interested in doing some work studies, would your business be, I mean, if we had a bigger list of things, would there be more participation, you think? Or is it just too hard to get?
Yeah, I like I said, some of it fluctuates by year. Like I said, last year, I think we had 1, this year we've got 4. I mean, some years we have none. You know, some kids look at it as, you know, they would rather take that as an elective, plus they can go get paid. They don't have to pay them for it. I mean, that's one thing, they don't have to pay them for it, but some do, some don't. And they just, you know, that way they're not just picking something up, just, you know, suffice their schedule. Plus they get out of having to sit in the classroom. That's what some of them do it for, but.
Is there any, do you think there's anything we could do to boost that thing, or is it just?
Do you want to?
We could,
Well,
I mean,
I don't know.
there's some, you know, I mean, I look at, you know, I guess it depends on, you know, do I wanna send a bunch of kids down to the tire shop to work? No, I don't.
Right.
But, you know, if we had somebody that was interested in being a dentist, you know, having them go down, but but honestly, Bill wouldn't be able to keep somebody busy for the whole year. I mean, he could probably have him come in and shadow him for a few days, but for them to go to work at the dentist office for the year, I don't know if, I don't see him being able to do that. And that would be my concern. Those types of businesses or those types of professions probably couldn't keep somebody busy for the year. But, you know, the manual labor, they could. And is that really, you know, do we want to, you know, push our kids towards that when that's not what they're going to look at studying, you know, when they go to college? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What about a job shadowing?
Job shadowing would
Where
be.
they could go out for maybe a week at the most and.
Right. We don't have
See
that.
what
I
it's
mean,
about.
we don't have. I mean, we just had to figure out how we could work that into their schedule because, you know, we wouldn't want that to be their year-long class for a week of activity.
Yeah.
I mean, or a semester class for a week of activity. I mean, we'd have to try to work that in through some other avenues.
I have no idea if this is available. Is there such thing as IT job shadowing? I mean, you would think, because we don't have,
Tech or somebody.
but something that they could, instead of going out to a business for however long, you could take a little bit of time and they could, I'm sure there's gotta be videos about what entails to be a dentist.
Oh, you mean like that through the IT?
Yeah.
Just take it through the.
Because there's a lot of businesses we don't have here as far as.
Well,
you
and
know.
the thing is, if you did do that, and they, you know, say for 6 weeks you do that, and the last week you go to the dentist office and shadow it. Or, you know, and then the next 6 weeks you take another profession.
Where would you put that? Would you have like a career class where you explored a bunch of different careers and then you picked one to do a job shadow? I mean, how would that work if you
I was
put
thinking
it
of like
into
a career day or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's career, we have, one a semester, a career day?
That's what I'm saying.
They're having one over
Stockton.
ITV, is it this month? I sent that.
I don't remember if it's January, February, but then there was a, you know, we had a career fair over at Stockton in November that we sent a bunch of kids over to. And they're, like I said, we've hosted it here before. I think it was a couple of years ago when we hosted it up there, where they just, you know, Realtel puts it on and invites a bunch of different businesses and people to come in and speak about different things. We do that as well.
And you said you have a bunch of kids. Did you have a good number of kids go to the last career day that?
Yeah, over in Stockton? Yeah, we
Yeah.
probably, I mean, I think we took the pusher, I wanna say we had 30-some kids go.
Because that's the other concern is if they have them, that's great, but are the kids going? But it sounds like they are.
And then when we hosted it, every kid that was in 9 through 12 went to it, so.
I was just thinking if it was more of an IT, it wouldn't be quite as, I hate to say promotional. A lot of, I know a lot of career fairs are, it's kind of a promotional
Absolutely.
thing.
Well, yeah, one day is not gonna tell you what that's, you know, you need to look into it, it's not gonna tell you if that's the kind of job you want.
Is that kind of on the lines is what Beth and Joni are doing with that Kansas Career Pipeline?
Yep. That's, I mean, you know, that's the aptitude test that you would take to, you know, your interest survey, different things like that.
Is that a class that does that, or is that just as they want?
Mrs. Hart does it in one of her classes. I wanna say it's her freshman computer tech
Well,
classes.
I
They
remember
do
having-
that. She's the one she's actually the one that got it started. And then Joni and Beth do it, you know, just here and there with kids. And I think Joni pushes it a lot more in her English classes.
So it sounds like we're kind of doing this already. I mean, I guess, you know, we're trying to promote it to the kids and we're trying to put it out there. So I don't know what kind of goal or what kind of thing we want to do in addition. What about the accountability goal, the promoting accountability for students, staff, and parents?
I don't really know what they mean by that. I mean, we do that now, so.
Well, for
Yeah, that's what
the
I
teachers
thought.
and the students, I don't know how you're gonna get parents.
Yeah, we got nothing with parents. Parents are gonna do what they're gonna do. Thankfully, most of our parents are accountable, so.
I guess I looked at that kind of like the, you know, the, involving the parents and the community, kind of, well, like this meeting and, you know, trying to do that rather than have them out there and us here.
And we did have good turnout that way, but
I think, just reading through the strategies, a lot of it would be if you had a page where you were, because a lot of this is promotion, I mean, to let people know what's going on.
I guess that would kind of promote accountability.
Well, you know,
Facebook
like
page
community,
going.
Yeah.
community members. It gets, a lot of times people just don't know what's going on, you know, if they knew more what was going on, I think it would,
you might
it
get more involved,
snowballs.
yeah.
It snowballs into,
There's not really ever a problem with getting parents to come in or community people to volunteer anytime we ask them. I mean, they're always willing to help. So, you know, we do have a lot of parents and community people in and out of the buildings.
But I don't know if the rest of the public knows that either. You know, that so-and-so donated their time to do
Yeah,
this, or, you know, that kind
I
of
can think of a
stuff.
lot of things, you know, that we could really use the Facebook page for.
Yeah, because we could put on there that
Promote what
next
people,
day
what community
donated
people
or,
are doing.
yeah.
Well,
yeah.
just for instance, you know, the preschool reading, we've got community people coming in reading to preschoolers. I mean, that goes on all year long, once a week, so. I don't know that a lot of people even know that happens, but,
well, if somebody ever needed something, you know, like, we need readers for this week, and put that out a week ahead of time, I think you'd be surprised.
Oh, yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, you know, I didn't know they needed that, you know, that kind of thing, so.
I guess to me, this recruitment just kind of is the three above it. I don't know that there's really anything in the facility.
Well, even that Facebook page might help with recruitment when we need somebody. They look at that and say, well, I wanna be a part of that or I don't.
Did you take any specific thing out of that recruitment of qualified staff? I mean, just, I kind of took it as if you was good on everything else, that would be kind of easy.
I think this, if I remember right, kind of the thought that I got from it was they just wanted to make sure we had good qualified staff members in the buildings. You know as well as I do, you're gonna take your best person that you think you have at the time, and sometimes there isn't a lot of choice, and
The pool's not too deep.
sometimes people don't behave the way they interview. Put it that way.
Well, and I
You know,
also
so-
think that part of this though is making that pool bigger. What can the
Right.
school do to make that pool
Right.
bigger? Are we
Exactly.
doing the technology, you know, all those things, are we providing a,
I think
Yeah.
that, and then I guess what I was thinking at the time is when we were talking about that, they wanted to make sure that we've got good qualified staff, so our schools stayed good, and it would encourage businesses to come to the community.
Right.
So,
Yep.
And the thought I have with that is, you know, on the Facebook page, can we reach out to our alumni and people who don't live around here, but would have an interest in the city, because they, you know, they grew up here or whatever, and then use that as a way to recruit people back, if that makes sense.
yeah.
Because I mean, and how would we connect to those alumni? How would we tell them, hey, we have a Facebook page, come check us out and see what the school's doing?
Well, I think it's just like any Facebook page, when you start friending it,
Right.
and it's got something that somebody
You like
wants to
it,
see,
and then somebody,
it'll
yeah,
go.
just
It'll
goes.
go out.
You don't have to work very hard to do that, you just have to have something that somebody wants to go to, and it'll go there. It'll get there,
Makes sense.
so. Well, do we wanna talk about facilities? I mean, I know we gotta do some prioritizing, and we've gotta, you know, I know it looks like there's a ton of stuff there to do, but I think we just have to pick a place to start, and then we build on that, to me, on the top 4 things, or 3 things, I guess.
On the facilities?
No, on the things that we just talked about. The facilities, I think we've got some serious issues that we need to talk about. The parking, the you know, the auditorium, the track. We've got a lot of things that's not gonna fix themselves, and the only way they're gonna get fixed is by figuring out how to fund it. And we need to do, I mean, that's our duty, is to make sure that our facilities are maintained, that we spend the taxpayers' money to make sure that's the case. And we need to do that. We need to start figuring out how to do it, because it's not going away.
What's the, I'm just gonna ask, because I know it's a huge ticket item that nobody sees, but heating and AC in those schools, what's the status? I know we had a pipe burst last night.
Status, we hanging on. You know, it's,
And which
we
school
patch
are-
where we have, where we can. I mean, we've had a few places at the high school we've had to cut off because we can't get to it, or we've had leaks, they run the pipe into concrete. We've had to cut those off, you know, they're in the main hallway there across from the gym. I don't think any of those heaters work anymore.
I'm not sure, I don't think so.
I know some of
Just the
them
one right out in
because they
front.
couldn't find the leak, so I had to just cut them off. And we, you know, we patch, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 times a year. I mean, it varies, but it's something that needs to be addressed. I mean, it's a 60s building. I mean, gosh,
On this one, I mean, I
got the
guess,
money's that worth out of it.
to me, I see funding as being a major issue with the facilities. And I guess what I see is if we started a Facebook page, we started promoting and kind of showed people what we were doing, and maybe through that, that's a way of getting support, not necessarily like saying, hey, support this funding of this project, but more of, you know, saying, look at all the things we do in the auditorium. And not necessarily saying we need to update it, but, you know, let's keep our facility. When it comes time to going out and getting that funding, we could say, well, have you checked out our Facebook page to see all the things that we do in that auditorium? You know?
I think we're gonna have to, I don't think we can wait for the Facebook to give us the, we're gonna have to
We'll have to
decide
start
what we need
calling
to
now,
do,
yeah, but-
and then we need to go to our patrons, and, you know, these are the things that we need to do to keep our school viable. I mean, we just have to do them. And that's the approach we need to take. We need to sit down and figure out exactly what we as a board prioritize it. This is what we wanna do, and then we're gonna have to figure out how to do it. I mean, we got things that needs done. You know,
They
we
need to
can't
be
wait
done
for 5
yesterday.
years
I
from
mean,
now.
there's companies beating my door down daily almost for HVAC stuff. But we've been down
360
that
is,
road so many times.
Right.
We've had so many studies done and so many estimates done, and then we sit there, oh, it's gonna cost that much, well. we don't have
that's
money.
what I mean. The
It's
only
gonna
funding
cost.
is, we're gonna
It's gonna
have to
cost.
go to our patrons and say, this is what we need. We need a bond for this to do this. And I know, you know, after the last thing, it was kind of a debacle, but I think there was, I'm just not sure, well, a
I'm
lot of
just saying
things. But I
that-
think if we do it right, I think we can.
Yeah, I'm just saying a
get
lot
done.
of people don't understand what's going on in the school. They say, oh, you don't need that, you're doing fine just with what you got. And I don't think they really understand that there is a need for it, and, you know, they kind of live in their bubble and live their lives and don't really think about it. And if we're out there saying, hey, for example, we use the auditorium on a weekly basis, we need a new seating, or hey, we use that track all the time, and we need a new track, you know, if we can somehow use what we do with it,
Do we
to
have
show
a
Well, there's
this.
definitely going to come a time, not the very near future, that track's gonna be unusable. Alan knows more about it than I do.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I
Well,
know.
and I think
It's horrible,
once,
horrible shape.
once it comes to that point, I mean, we're gonna have to lock it up and not allow people on it, or, you know, because if you know it's bad and you let people on it, you're negligent. You know, I mean, if you can't host a track meet, why are we gonna put our kids out there to practice? Because we know it's bad. So now all of a sudden our kids aren't practicing on a track that's out there, and can't let the community out there, because if somebody steps and breaks an ankle, then they can sue us because we're negligent, because we know it's bad. And, you know, those are where it comes in. It's not just about hosting track meet, it's about kids using it for track practice, or, you know, the community walking or running out there. I mean, you know, we'd have to lock it up.
So where is the building thing? I guess that's something I never even, I mean, I knew we had
Wasn't it some
had
cable?
issues on the HVAC and all that stuff, looking at that, but
I just have to go back and dig it out. I mean, these are from 3 to 4 or 5 years ago.
but I mean, on a priority thing, you know,
Well,
what,
the priority, it was a priority for the bond issue, but once the bond issue didn't go, I mean, it was like $3 million for that, and there's no way we can,
Was it both schools, for $3 million at that time?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Well, it's like to me, we need to
But-
sit down and decide what we wanna do, come up with
Also,
prices, have some community meetings, have it broke down as to what it's gonna cost.
yes, that was one thing that they said, you need to have, once you figure out $1, you need to know what's it gonna cost the house, the resident owner, the grass, the farmer that owns a quarter of grass, the farmer that owns a quarter of farmland, what's it gonna cost them? And you have to relay that to them, they have to understand that.
Yeah, if you
and
just
that's what
send out a
we did
big
last
number.
time, and that, yeah, you have to do that. It takes time to put that together, because you really gotta have an architect, engineer, put together some estimates, you know, that you can feel comfortable with. It takes time to do all that.
Well, yeah, for sure, I,
So-
What's an architect gonna cost to do that?
I don't know. Well, we charge a percentage, 7 to 10%.
So do we need to go through and decide which projects we want?
Oh. No, I think what we need to do is we need to have a facility studies group and invite some community members in and talk about, you know, what the board feels we need to be looking at, and prioritize those items, and then get some estimates on what it's gonna cost to do it. Once you do that, you know, you're gonna have to pay, well, I'll me back up. They'll charge that on the whole project, just to do
If you do.
an architect estimate. They'll work up an estimate. They usually, most of them will just have a set fee, like, you know, how much they would charge to get a approximate cost proposal to the board. And then if you go on from there, then they get finite with the drawings and all that. That's added on to.
Do you think we need to have something like that to get close enough to go to the public?
I think when you're talking millions of dollars,
Right.
we probably ought to not just saying, well, we think it's gonna cost about this much.
Well, But if we're gonna get a community,
And then, you know, just like the track, for instance, there's gonna be a lot of difference if we just redo the track the way it is, or if we expand it to the 8-lane track like we talked about for the last bond issue. And we add or move some of the field events.
Moving the pole vault to a
Pole vault,
separate area.
I mean,
That needs
why
to be
we
done.
have a
Right.
high jump that goes across the track, I don't know. That's, you know, that shouldn't be there. You know, we really need to have another high jump pit.
Another high jump pit would be nice.
Move the pole vault, you know, we need to
Sure.
add some of those things to make it the way it needs to be. And whether we just redo what we have, or we bring it up to current standards, that's gonna make a difference in how much it costs.
Same with parking lot or anything.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, the parking lot's falling.
I wouldn't wanna go throw another rock parking lot out there. That's,
No, I'm talking about the parking lot
Out front.
front.
Yeah.
oh,
It's
that's.
just-
That thing
It's
is, it's,
eyesore. and
heck, you gotta tear your bumper off your vehicle.
Well, if we ever got anybody to give us a quote on it, Bob's talked to a couple different people, and nobody will give us an estimate.
To come in there and,
Tear it out and
Tear it.
run new asphalt in there, or concrete, I mean. So, you know, that's another thing, you know, we talked to a couple local people that, yeah, but they never show up to do it. And so, to get it done, we can hire an architect, put it out on bid. It might not be a local person that gets it, but we'll get it done.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
there's people out there that'll do it.
So you said a facilities group where we have community members come in who, I mean, and what, they would discuss what needs to be
Well,
done
we
and.
look at the facilities and then discuss what we need to do to it, and then hopefully they would help promote that. We'd have to have some meetings, all that kind of stuff, talk about, you know, what
So-
needs to happen.
So what if next, the regular meeting, we try to find a few of the board members that would serve on there, and then we could contact out of the list of people we had.
Maybe, this is just spitballing here, but what about inviting all the people that came to the strategic plan?
That's what I was talking about.
Just sit down and say, okay, we're just gonna focus on our facilities right now.
Mhm.
And talk about some of the issues, and get
Yeah.
some feedback from them as to whether they think those are areas of,
Yeah, cause I think that group was a nice, it was a pretty broad, spectrum of our community, I think. I thought it was a good group.
well, you probably did too, I had several of them tell me they really enjoyed it.
Yeah, oh yeah, it was.
But I don't know if we want to do it at the board meeting, because that's quite a bit for the board meeting already.
No, I was mean just discussing who
Oh,
of us
oh,
would
oh.
wanna
Who the
serve,
board
but
would
if we,
be on
I guess if we
committee.
do a special meeting, we could all,
Yeah, we just have, yeah, just like we did with the strategic plan, and then we just focus on the facility issues.
what does everybody else think of that?
I think that's
a good place to start.
I think that's about the best place to start.
my only question, this is why I was asking you about an architect. I know from my perspective, when you start talking about different things, well, HVAC or the track, they have a ballpark number. I mean, maybe it doesn't matter, I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I think we would have some, like, 4-year-old ballpark numbers, but, I mean, that would be a place that, like, the track was 600,000 or something.
Yeah.
I think it makes
You know, that's a place to
You're
start.
talking about a $10 million bond or a you know what I'm saying, that makes it, people might drop
Yeah, we can't
things
go
on
that
their,
far.
on their importance if it's gonna be really expensive or, how to say it.
But that's where the breakdown would come, because if you said, okay, if you own a house, this is how much you would pay extra. And you could almost break that down further to say that percent, you know, this percentage would go to the auditorium, this percentage would go to parking, this good percentage would go to the track, whatever, you know, however you want to. If you really wanted to break it down, I think
Well,
breaking
we
it
could-
down
we
to
could-
those kind of numbers.
You'd have to do it as an overall, cause that's what they're gonna be spending. I mean,
Right,
this
but-
is the amount.
But
that
we
you're
know
gonna-
what the estimates would be for the track, for the, HVAC, all that stuff, and so you can say, well, we're having a $5 million bond issue, but this percentage of it's gonna go towards,
I thought they had that when you did that $10 million, they did.
That didn't work in our favor,
Yeah.
because some people, we're only spending that on education and everything else is for sports, you know, or whatever.
see that,
That's what-
I could see that happening with people.
Well, we've got a lot of
For
big
our
items.
schools, you know, it's all for the educational purpose.
Yeah,
Yes,
that's right.
That's what the
Right,
thing is,
that's-
it's all for education.
Some
Is
people
that-
don't even, I mean, how many kids do we have out for track? 75 or
Well,
80?
yeah, we'll have,
Well, and it-
7 through 12? I mean, that's our
Well, the
biggest.
parking lot's not even really for the kids. I mean,
Right.
it is, but it isn't.
absolutely,
That's
and the
definitely
community,
good.
you know, I mean,
That's my number
that-
one complaint
I-
of anything
I
in
was
this
gonna say the
school
same
is,
thing, I
when
mean-
you guys gonna fix that parking lot? I mean, I
or
hear
when you
that.
gonna, where can we park? I mean,
Yeah,
that's what
where
I
can you-
get, why,
I know.
well, there's no parking around here, I mean, yeah. We're parking down there by the swimming pool, it's not that far, but, you know, some people,
Yeah.
or the people that cut somebody's driveway off, and then that person calls and says, hey, people are blocking our driveway, I'm sorry, call the cops, I can't, you know.
Yeah. No, I
So
think
maybe that's
that's
not a good idea, to
big-
break it down to how much is going to go to each thing, maybe that's not gonna work, but, I don't know, I don't know if the community always understands, like, when you're talking about the track, that's for them as well, you know, it's not just for the track kids, I mean, they can go in there and walk around on it and stuff like that, so.
That's why it's really important, you know, for some of those things like that, get community involvement and, you know, promote it. I mean, it
Absolutely.
doesn't do any good for the board really, and myself or Alan to go out and promote it, because it's, you know, we're just doing our job,
Right.
even though it's something that's really needed for kids, but we can get community people involved and they feel like it's something of real importance, and they promote it. It's a different.
So like that group that we
Person
have for
talking.
the strategic planning, if they can be out there promoting some of these things.
Well, I think more importantly is get their input on it,
Yeah.
see what
That's
they
a good
think.
start. Get
Maybe
their
they're,
input and
maybe
then
they've
help
got
them
some
promote.
different ideas.
And that's the only reason I asked it, because I know if I was on a committee like that, that'd be my first question, what would that cost, you know, to try and prioritize it in order to get back to you?
Well, what happens, I mean, I think it's probably gonna take more than one meet. What
Yeah.
happens if we meet and, you know, get these things kicked out there and prioritized, and then we get serious about,
That could work too.
you know, what's gonna
Well, we
cost.
can always change, because like, if we get together and they say, well, the track and the parking lots are the priorities, and then we go in and start looking at numbers and we realize that it's not gonna cost as much as we thought, or it's gonna cost more than we thought, we can always change those priorities around a little bit, you know, as the process continues on, but,
I think it would be important to get you guys, as probably the custodians' input, because community's probably not gonna say we need HVAC or,
Well,
you
'cause
know.
I'm sitting here and I
Some
didn't
do
know
when they have to come up to that, when they have to come up and sit in that auditorium, I mean, just like at the last program, I had people sitting right in front of me, and as my knees are hitting them in the back of their head, because, I mean, but they're saying, when you guys ever gonna do something with it? I mean, it's terrible sitting in here, and these are people that are just now starting to see that, hey, my kids are gonna be here for a little longer, and I'm gonna be going through this. And so these are people saying it right then and there, and it's like, I said, you're talking to the wrong person, you know, I said, I'd be happy to start pulling seats out right now, you know, but.
I can get some estimates based on previous year's estimates and talking around and see what
I
kind
just
of
think
cost.
Couldn't-
if they were just
I-
all.
I agree with
For all
Stan, I
these-
think,
That's
Right.
kind of what you're gonna do, if you go that route, and you have your committee and they prioritize things or identify areas that they feel need to be fixed. And then you get some estimates, okay, and then once you go, you know, tour around, talk about it and all that stuff, and get your, by that time, you'd have your architect proposal. And then once you get your money approved, that doesn't necessarily mean you have to take it, just because it gets approved. If the actual bids come in way over what the architect estimate was, you can cut things off, or you can just, you know, not accept the bids.
we have a
Or
current
if
bid
they
on the
come in
playground,
way
right?
under what the bond money was, you don't have to take it all, you know? You're not locked into it until you actually
we have current bids on the playground, all right? That is
Yeah.
one thing we do have.
Yeah, I'm not real happy with it. It's, I think, but, yeah, I do have one. I just got it, was it before Christmas,
Yeah.
week or so, but it's pretty high, I think.
Well, I'm like Stan though, I think if we had ballparks, even though they're 4 years old, and we made that understood, you know, this gives you an idea of what
It's not gonna be any
costs.
less than that, for
Yeah.
dang sure.
Well, yeah, as I said, you can find
The
out what
last guy we had
the
at the
percentage.
track was, I think, 2 years ago. I think it was 2 years, maybe 3. It goes fast.
It was longer than, before.
But that was, you know, that was the last one. There's several before that too, but, I go back and look at it, and I think in that, workup, he gave some estimates.
One way to get them interested in the track is close it.
Yeah, you're right.
You'll get,
Suddenly it'll become very important.
there you go.
I would rather get us promoted first.
Well,
Try not to do that.
But I know what you mean.
I'm just saying,
Not far away though.
Yeah, I know.
well, but I'm
it's
saying,
really not.
that'd be one way to, at least, you think news travels fast.
Yeah,
And I can contact Train or, I don't know, myriad of other energy companies that beat my door down and they can
well,
probably.
Well, we had talked
What
about
works
doing
on that
those, you
for-
know, you could do them in, sections.
They've got some different systems out there too. I mean, we were looking at ground source heat pumps and those are pretty expensive. So, you know, they have a longer life, you know. But there's some other pretty good forced air type systems out there that we could zone the buildings, which would be good, so they're not all on one zone.
Well, I think to do them all in 1 year, and the reason being, then when they start dying, they're all gonna die in the same, you know, theoretically, they'll all, whatever their lifespan is, they'll all die in the same year. And then you have to go back and replace them all in the same year.
Yeah.
But I wish we were further out on our, that QZEP thing, that we'd had that
That
paid
one,
for.
yeah.
How many more years we got
but
left
then
on it?
again, that was stuff that had to be done.
I'm not arguing that,
Yeah,
I'm just
I know.
saying I wish that was paid for,
Right.
closer to being paid for.
And I guess that's why I think we need to look at the big scale and just bite the
Maybe
bullet
you
and
can.
get stuff, major stuff put together, get it out there and get it approved. I just think we need to do it.
Good theory.
I think communities or talking, just like you said, there's all different levels of HVAC, track. The community may say, let's do this, but let's get it done for,
Bare bones,
Yeah.
don't do anything fancy,
yeah,
don't do anything
we need a
special.
new 7-lane track, we don't, you know, I don't know what they do. I think it's important because that's the way you're gonna get it passed.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. I mean,
Well, and
no
if
matter
we
what we
do,
think, it's not really
Right.
what we think, it's
Right.
what everybody, the community's gonna think.
the thing is, if we do it, we approach it that way, that we would like to have had an 8-lane track, and we would like to have had this, but we have settled for, you know, when you're trying to educate the public.
Yeah, and, you know, it's just hard
We
to
aren't
tell.
going,
It's hard to tell.
Well, with this facility study, you have to probably go down to what do we absolutely just need? You know, there's gonna be a lot of wants, but what do we need, you know? We need a new track, but can we survive with just the 4-lane basic track that we have, or whatever?
Seven.
Yeah, 7, sorry.
7 or better, can't go less than
Sorry.
7, and all of a sudden we're limiting
But
ourselves,
can
like,
we
we don't wanna limit
survive
ourselves a
okay
whole
with
lot.
that, or, you know, do we have to have an 8-lane?
And if you can build a 7-lane track, I don't know, if you can save the money, and save enough money to build a practice gym. You know what I'm saying, I don't know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I
I mean,
absolutely.
there's trade-offs, there could be trade-offs.
Or we could
put
I'd like to see an 8-lane
10
track,
chairs
but-
in the,
Alright. No,
Auditorium.
that's-
What's the community gonna
Track
Say one lane, we
track
put 10
out,
chairs in the
you know,
auditorium.
costs that
That's right.
more
It
to
may
be
not be
paid.
much.
Yeah, that's right. If, as
So-
far as we gotta go, you're right, it may be silly not to do the 8-lane while they got 12 hours.
All right, ground force heat pump versus forced air and get a gym, you know, I mean, I just think there
Right.
could be trade-offs on that.
Yeah. No, I,
Yeah.
The trick is getting that out to the community, telling them that
Exactly.
we're not looking at trying to get top of the line, absolutely the best, we're just wanting to, you know, be able to use our facilities and.
yeah, cause it'll be
Safely.
one facility we will not be able to use
Right.
because of.
If we don't do anything, he won't be able to use it.
Agreed.
So you
Did we
wanna-
get some?
Yeah, there's pizza back there, probably have to nuke it now.
All right. So we take a break to eat and
You're losing Carl.
then.
Going down.
So maybe, for our board meeting, everybody can check their schedules and we can talk about a couple of possible dates.
Talking about facilities, would it be possible, for can we get rails on all the walkways at the high school in the gym? You know, we got them on every other one, the handrails.
Yeah, and there's a reason why we did that.
So we have to cut the bleachers off.
Right. We had to trim up the one side of the bleachers that the handles were on. And then by spreading them out the way we did, we felt like, you know, there were areas where instead of, you know, using every aisle, because it's shortens up the aisle. Also, when you try, you know, when you get in where the handrail is, I mean, it, and the other side's open, so I mean, we did it, that was another reason why we alternated it.
I think it was
Yeah,
Monday, I
I
watched
think
somebody go down. They were going down the one that didn't have a handrail and they caught their foot under the bleacher. And so I got approached by that, you know, I need those on every. It would be better.
Well, we can do it, we just lose more
We're
seats.
gonna lose a few seats, is that the main thing?
Yeah, we lose some seats
Well,
and
I
then,
guess the thought was if
certain-
we put it there, there was a handrail, they could go to the aisle they wanted to go to and then walk across.
Yeah.
But,
Even if you have a handrail, though, it doesn't mean that's gonna keep that from happening.
but it's, I mean.
You know, if they don't use them,
You
they're.
mean, similar ones on all the aisles,
Yeah,
like we have?
yeah, they're on every other one now, I think.
yeah,
Oh, put
on
it
the
on
visitor
the aisle?
side, they're on the two ends, and on the home
Or
side.
every row, or?
Every place there's a stairs that go up.
Yeah.
Now they're on half of the stairs that go up.
Right, okay. Yeah, we can do that. I'd have to check with Bob and see, I can't remember how much we ended up cutting off those bleachers, cause that's
Yeah.
probably lose 2 seats per row.
Think you'd lose that much?
Seems
Well,
like
you'd
cut-
lose another seat, I mean, at least, because we have to cut that off the other side, so I mean, it would be 2 a row, because the one we've already cut off this side, the one we'd have to cut off
So
this
we'd
side
lose
to make
another
them work.
seat if we put them all up. But aren't they about every other? You don't cut every one of them off, is that right?
No, I think they're on every, I think they go up every one. I don't think they skip a row, I mean, I think they're at every step up.
Just on one side of one
Right.
aisle.
Right.
Yeah, and there's no guaranteeing it's gonna stop something from catching the foot, but I think it might have been this case.
Yeah.
So the bleacher that sticks out, that extra 8 inches or whatever, that's what they cut their foot on?
He went down hard too.
You have to call the ambulance?
What's that?
Took a tumble.
Yeah, if it wasn't for that guy sitting across the road, reached out and grabbed his foot, kept him going on down, the heck of a snag, I thought he did that, but
Okay,
he would have hit pretty hard at the bottom.
Did you call an ambulance?
No, he was jumped up, he was more embarrassed.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask him
probably
next
more
day if he was
embarrassed.
sore.
See what he looks like now?
Well, I think one of the reasons, was it on the side where the team sits?
Yeah, we'd have to skip that row. Because there's no bleacher, I mean, we could, the first 2 steps wouldn't have a handrail, because the team bench is right there, and then on the other side, there's no bleacher there, because that's where, you know, at the floor level, that's where they go into the scores table on both sides. So it would actually be up another row. That's why we went on the outsides there,
Right.
so we didn't have to go up the middle.
Right. So we didn't have to cut any off of the team bleacher,
With the,
team.
right, with the, seats and the seat cover and the back there. So. You guys need me for any more? I've got company at the house
Yeah, I wanna yell at you.
and start yelling.
So TMP's been in the league 3 months and they get to tell what's gonna happen in the junior high tournament.
What do you mean?
They decide they wanna be a 4 seed.
No, they didn't decide they wanted to be a 4 seed. They didn't feel comfortable being a top 2 or 3, or top 1 or 2 seed because they said they've only played 3 teams. They're a 2-1 record, league record. They've only played 3 league schools.
So 2-1 league record is 4th.
Yeah, when
Overall.
the way it went, the way it broke down, because we got some teams that are 1-7 and 0-8, and I mean, so that drops that down. We have undefeated, you know. We've got some 1-loss teams that have more wins. So that's how that dropped. That's how it got in there. They had the same winning percentage as the team that's 3rd. So we gave 3rd place. We gave the 3rd seed to the one that had more wins. So that like somebody that was 4-2 over somebody 2-1 or whatever the percentage breaks out to be. So you're saying you're nervous because TMP's on our side of the bracket? We beat them once, we'll beat them again.
No.
I'm saying we're opposite of them. The boys are opposite of them. So
they seed for a reason, and that is BS.
No, it wasn't BS. Honestly, we all sat around the table, and before we even put records on the table, Gene stepped up and he says, "We don't feel comfortable being a high seed, a 1 or a 2 with only 3 games in the league, because that's all it's seeded on is league school or league records."
So next year they can only have 2 games in the league?
Next year they're going to have everybody played in the league. So this year's the only year that it's going to be an issue. But they didn't feel comfortable, and everybody understood that. So once we started putting records, then we put records on the paper.
Thought that was a pretty good idea.
There, let's blame, so we get to the,
I'm telling you, that's BS. I don't care how you guys try to rationalize.
Okay, they could have been 4th and they could have been 8th. Then we'd have played in the first round. So would that have been better? I mean, I don't know.
If that's where their record
But their
put
record
them,
didn't.
then that's where
Their
they should
record
have been.
didn't put them there. Their record.
Yeah, their record didn't put them in 4th place, or 4th seed. No.
On the percentage.
There wasn't a person there that knew they was a 4 seed.
Huh?
There wasn't one of you sitting around there that thought TMP girls was a 4 seed in that tournament.
I don't know. I never saw them play, so I couldn't tell you if they were a 4 seed or a 2 seed. And is that what it's about though? Is it about the perception of them playing, or is it off a record? Like you said, it's 2-1 was the same winning percentage as another school, and that's who it ended up 3rd on the girls' side. And this is just girls because I know that's what we're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, they were their winning percentage was tied with another school, and I don't remember who the 3 seed is on the girls' side. It's not Ellis.
Team we beat
Who
by
is it?
40 points.
Right.
It's Phillipsburg.
Okay. And so what we decided, and this was actually my idea, so I guess,
Oh, so
hate
I'm yelling
me
at
if you want. I said, I think the only fair thing is to do is to give the higher seed to the team with more wins, more league wins. And TMP didn't have that. TMP only had 2. The other school had like 4.
Yeah, but they was 8-1. I mean,
No, they were 2-1. We didn't look at overall record.
You're talking about they had the same percentages. Look at their record. That tells you who's the better seed.
We did. We looked at league records.
league
Their
record.
percentages was tied.
Right.
Okay.
So we went to
look
the
at
more
their
wins.
overall
We went
record.
to the more wins. No, we didn't. But we didn't. We don't do anything with the overall records for seed. It says in our bylaws, league record only. So that's how we seed it. So when you got your bylaws that tell you how you're going to seed it.
What's the bylaws say about breaking a tie? It says good overall record.
No, it doesn't.
What does it say?
I don't know if I'd have to look down. I don't know if it says anything.
It
I
probably
said,
don't.
but if you go to the Keisha handbook, then it says more wins.
Well,
It doesn't go to the overall record when you go to the Keisha handbook.
more wins where? More wins overall.
More. We use league record. I'm just telling you how we see it. We use league record for league tournament. So what we did, we took the more league wins, got the 3 seed. Less league wins, got the 4 seed. TMP got the 4 seed. So we get to play in a 2nd round. You got to beat them sometime, right?
Yeah.
You got to beat them sometime.
Then draw names out of the hat.
If that's what you want to propose, I'll propose it to the league.
I'm just
But that's
saying
not what we're doing.
Well,
You know, I mean, I mean, we can argue this all day.
I would argue
bring
it all day.
right?
I think everybody there knew that was.
No,
You can't tell
not
me that
everybody did.
everybody there thought they was a 4 seed.
You know, there was no
They got
discussion.
45 girls
There was
out,
no
they lost
discussion
one
about
game.
that at all. Gene said that. The president of the league and I talked about it, and then everybody, and he goes, Alan and I have talked about this, and he said, why don't we go with the school that had the more wins, is how you would break that tie, because that's what they said. So then we started talking about records. So this was already planned out before we even started about records.
More wins.
League wins. It's only league schools. That's all it says. You're seeded by league record.
See, you should have lost to them. Then they would have been a 1 seed and you'd been a 2 seed.
Well, believe me, I understand you gotta beat everybody to win a tournament.
Right.
I am not disputing that, but I say they've been in the league 1 year and they
didn't determine anything.
you said that
He didn't feel comfortable being a top 2 seed with only playing 3 teams. That's all he said. He didn't say, we don't think we are, I demand this or nothing. He just says, we don't feel comfortable by what you said right there. With only playing 3 league schools, that they didn't feel comfortable being, and did they deserve to be an 8th seed or 7th seed? No, they didn't. So that's why they're in the middle. If they were a 5 seed, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
with somebody you would be.
No, they wouldn't, because nobody else is having this conversation but us. And I know why we're having the conversation, but
Yeah. No one else would have that conversation. Well, I would, if I was Ellis and I had to play them first round, you'd be having this conversation.
I don't know.
He would
They
be,
didn't-
the
they
guy
didn't-
Ellis
they
would be.
Who all did they play in the league?
They played us, they played Phillipsburg, I think they
They
played
won
us.
one game. That was to us.
It's either Ellis or Plainville. I mean, they're close
Boys
one.
are 2-1 too, I think?
Yep, boys are 2-1, girls are 2-1.
Phillipsburg must have beat them.
Yes, they lost to Phillipsburg.
When will we know the high school MCLC?
No, Saturday.
Oh,
So the first game this Saturday?
They play, yeah.
On the
There's
schedule?
no play-in game.
next Saturday.
Oh, okay.
No,
It's only
next Saturday.
scheduled a Thursday, Saturday,
No,
Thursday.
this
But this
Saturday.
year, there's only 8 teams.
Well, did they
Hopefully
think
not.
that they would be frowned upon by the rest of the league if they took that higher seed? What did they not feel comfortable about?
It's the what?
Just because they only played 3 league schools. I mean, that was the only thing that they said.
And they just would have felt bad taking that high
I think
seed?
so.
When there's all those other
Right,
people,
they'd have
teams that played,
That
yeah.
played 8 league schools compared to somebody that played 3 league schools. And that's why it was discussed about going off of who had the most league victories, is how that tie got broke on percentage. Numbers guy up there.
Well, yeah, look at the number. Okay.
So anything else you want to yell at
I'm
me?
glad I got that off my chest now. For anyone who cared. No, I don't want to yell at you anymore.
All right.
No,
Have a good day.
Yep.
See ya.
See ya.
So, do we have anything else to, oh, the evaluation, I mean, on the strategic planning, do we wanna just kinda, can we let everyone else know to be thinking of dates prior to
I'll
next?
send out an email.
Okay,
And then names, or we're just gonna,
well, I think we just use.
Use the names we
that
have.
we had, I mean, don't you guys?
Be the easiest.
Well, they were there and, you know, what was just how
Yeah,
it
they
came
put
to that
facilities on the
anyway, so.
list.
Mm-hmm.
So.
yeah, we'll see what they're thinking.
You're gonna look into Facebook page for starters.
Okay.
Try and have something for you for that, for the board meeting.
Okay, the evaluation, I assume everybody got the sample that I sent around, and I hope everybody understands that's very preliminary. I mean, I just wanted to get something out there that we could look at.
Are we just talking about the document, or are we actually talking about the evaluation?
Well, I think we'll talk about both, but I mainly wanted to know if also, while we're doing this, if there was changes to the document that, or the format, or, you know,
Then we need to go to executive session.
If
to
we're
talk
actually
about the
gonna-
document.
No. we're gonna talk
Oh,
about-
yeah,
Let's
yeah.
talk about the document.
Yeah, I wanna talk about the, yeah, I understand, yes. But I would like the, you know, your opinion on the document and the content and the things we're looking at. From the board and Mr. Hill. Format,
Well, I think from the discussion that was tonight, I have a lot better idea of what expanding curriculum.
Can you make me one too? I didn't print
Developing
one
a
on.
business course and all that stuff,
I think I
from
have
letting
one.
their school,
I got what it's
what
attached on
the
it even.
intentions
Well, I know
of
that,
those
I
are.
thought I had one printed out and
after our discussion
Yeah.
tonight.
had too much.
Well-
I mean, you know, cause those things can mean a lot of different things to different people. And
Right. Well, yeah, and we have to know what those specific things are that we're thinking, I think, and I think that's part of what I,
Well, I haven't, I'll wait till it compares with.
okay. And as far as the questions, you know, I don't know if some of them are, you know, are they all applicable, or there's some of them that we shouldn't be asking, I don't know. I just thought it would be nice to have, you know, some idea of what we're looking at when we give an item. I think we get more input from the board members, and I think that's kind of what we're after, but.
Well, I think one thing that probably needs to be established is some kind of a rubric as to which, you know, like here it says, is modern technology being used in our courses? Well, I don't know what everybody considers to be modern technology.
Right. Well, and my question was, how are we gonna know?
That's
You know,
what I
you can't
Well,
get in, that, you know, I asked you
But
that.
this is my thought,
These are-
the strategic plan, through that process, we're telling him what technology we want. So the next time we come back, are we doing what we ask him to do
Mhm.
as a superintendent?
Well, my thought on it, that, you know, there's a lot of those things that, I don't know. I'm like you, I don't know.
You might know if you had a kid in there and could ask them,
Right.
but then, that's a skewed answer
You can
too.
tell me if I'm crazy on this, but what I'd like to see is if we use this one, which I like it, especially with our strategic plan. I would
Thank you.
like to see Mr. Hickle fill it out the best you can, and then we'll go off of that. I mean, it gives us we're just looking for a baseline with this one, right? I mean, that's the way I see it.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, so
Yeah.
if you could give us the baseline on it, then we would have some place to go. But there's so many, I mean, there's a lot of these questions I can't really answer. You know, I'm not.
Well, right now, I'm not sure any of us can.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So,
I feel like we've got some teachers that are using a lot of technology, and we have some that are using very little. And we don't currently have
Well,
a requirement.
And see, to me, though, that would be the data or the documents provided
Right.
to show us that. That's, I guess, what I'm thinking the superintendent
So
would do.
what I'm thinking is the documents would be, okay, these were the in-services we did, this is what we talked about, this is how it's being used in the classroom.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know that they had a whole bunch of in-services on that stuff. I mean, and to me, that would be, you know, part of this. You know,
He's providing the tools for the teachers to do that.
Right.
And like number 4, recruitment of qualified staff. Just, you know, if you could put on there how we go about, you know, what our current, that's what I was thinking. We could, if he could do that, we could table it till January meeting. Where
Yeah.
everybody's here, and we have a baseline to go off of, and then we can talk about that a little bit.
I guess I wasn't thinking we was gonna sit down and evaluate you tonight. Wasn't my
Oh, okay.
Thank
I
you.
thought you were.
No, my thought was that we talk about this in general terms, not, you know, anything you're doing or not doing, but just is the idea right? Can you show us these things that we give you to do? Are these applicable to them? You know, is it? And if we need to change some of this, then, you know, let's do, if you see things in there or you guys do that need to change, then let's do it.
I think the one that's gonna be most difficult for me to figure is the number 2, where it says promote accountability. Now, you know, I can promote all you want me to promote, but I can't make students motivated.
Right.
And I certainly can't, you know, make the parents accountable.
And how do you measure that?
Yeah, that's.
Well, but to me, that's that,
Those
putting,
are some of the.
you know, you put in a class, whatever it is, English, you provide them with something that's, you know, sparks a little interest, you know, and they, you know, I don't know what that is either, but the tools are out there, we can surely put it in the classrooms to.
But how does that make them accountable for it? How do you,
I
how
mean,
do
I
you?
can promote it, but that doesn't necessarily mean that it's.
Well, the reason that I
You know,
put
the only
those in
people I
there.
can really hold accountable are the teachers.
Right, but the reason I put those in there was because that was the common theme of the strategic plan. That was what they, or the group,
Yes.
not strategic plan, but the ideas of the group was, and almost every one of them is to get students to be accountable and parents' involvement, and so that's why, how can we reword these or change them to get
But I
to,
think- And I think that's something everybody wants, for sure. You know, we have done some in-services with teachers on talking about, you know, students being accountable for their own education. And then they do some things in the classroom that's supposed to, I guess, encourage kids to take that on. Now, some might and some won't. So would that be something that you'd be talking about with this one? That
well, I
we're-
think that's
we're
something you
doing
could
some
document that you've done,
Okay.
isn't it? I mean,
Well-
that my idea is,
You've
What-
explored ideas to motivate students, like motivational strategies and things like that for teachers, but
By having their homework assignments online, they've now become responsible for their own homework. You don't have, I mean, it's there. They can't use the excuse, I wasn't in school, it wasn't available, I didn't know, you know.
Well, I could see that being a real plus, to be able to see it. I mean, because if they're not there now, they just either go in and work with the teacher before or after school, or do it out of the book.
Or don't do it.
Or don't do it.
you know,
I think there's huge strides we can make in motivation. I mean, not you personally, but the teachers, which
yeah,
you could help them with. I mean, it's, I'll use sports as the analogy. I mean, everybody knows how everybody plays on Friday night because the gym's full. But how did we do in the Quiz Bowl tournament? It was held at Hill City. Does anybody know?
yeah, no,
Like two teams, we got third and fourth, you know, but nobody knows. You know, to me, there's gotta be some, and that falls on the teachers or whoever's the sponsor, they need to put that out there, you know, because the kids all wanna play basketball because everybody tells them great job and they do good, you know, but they
Yeah.
wanna go to the science Olympiad or math relays or, you know, what's their motivation for that?
I agree, I think we can, and I don't know that it's, I know you can't, motivate them, but I do think we can provide things, you know, situations to
Some
improve, just,
inspiration.
yeah, just like what Stan's, I mean, and like the parent thing. You can't make them be involved, but you can organize and suggest community meetings, just like what we're doing. I mean, those things are helping that, I think.
maybe you want to reword these questions and say, instead of saying, are students motivated, are you providing, ways to motivate students or something like that? Are you- Tools, yeah, to motivate students, or are there tools available to motivate students? And, because saying are students motivated, well.
So far, some aren't.
And sometimes that has nothing to do with what Mr. Hickle's doing or not doing. their motivation can be completely different, so.
So what?
So maybe, you know, for his evaluation to say, are you providing tools that help motivate students or something like that? And then the same with the question on parents and community members involved, are you providing the tools to get parents and community members involved? I think that's something that we can actually measure and say, yes, he's doing that, no, he's not, you know.
Does that make sense, Carl, what she's saying?
Well, yeah, but I think the bottom line is, are the students motivated?
But you get into a lot of issues with that, because he could be doing everything in his power to
But not-
motivate
yeah.
students, and they're still not gonna be motivated, because it's something way beyond our control that's gonna motivate them. So, I mean, you're asking for a lot on that question to say, well, you don't get a good grade unless you have students motivated. Well, maybe he can't get them motivated because it's not in his control to motivate them. Does that make sense?
Well,
If
I
he
think the
If he
kids
could
are,
document
I think
what
I
he's done,
understand.
yeah.
I think the kids are
We're gonna
our
work, we're
responsibility
gonna
to
continue to
motivate.
work to hold kids accountable
Right, we
and
wanna always
create
try
that high
that.
performance culture. But I understand what you want. We're not gonna motivate every student, but there might be something that we can do that will hit somebody's button and they'll take off.
And that's what I'm saying, are you providing, and I guess those, I look at those as tools and saying, you know, that's a tool that we can use, and that might be the thing that motivates that one kid. Maybe it's technology, or it's a fancy music class, I don't know, but, are we providing that?
So I think a prime example is Larry Leiter, he motivates kids by,
I'm gonna say, a teacher in the
What?
classroom is,
yeah.
And parents,
Well,
because he gets parents, you know,
Well,
you've
yeah.
got to do this, you know, I gotta have, you know,
the way I look at it is, it would be my job to bring training and the tools to the teacher for them to use in the classroom
right.
to stir the interest and motivate kids.
Well, yeah, I
And
guess that's, I mean, we're talking about the superintendent here. I know you're not gonna go
He's
sit
not
down with
going-
the kids and motivate
Right,
them. I mean,
right,
we're
right.
talking about the overall,
Right.
you know, I don't know that we have to
You're
get,
talking about the school climate and
Yeah.
culture.
Right.
yeah.
Positive climate, positive culture, kids feel good about being there, they're, you know, they're working hard, they're being
Right, and if you
accountable for
can
their
prove
own
to us that that's what
education.
you're doing, then I think that's what we're looking for.
And then I think it's the same way with the parents and community members. I mean, I think we all understand that not every parent is gonna be your best buddy.
But, you know, most of the
overall,
parents,
right,
even at the junior, senior high level, they're more than willing to help out if you ask.
I hear more complaints about parents saying, I didn't know there was an opportunity to help out than opportunities, you know?
Right,
Yeah.
I wanna help.
yeah, I agree. I think
Well,
that's fair.
and by having the Facebook or whatever, the opportunity to get it out there,
Well, I just
maybe-
think of the quiz bowl thing, I mean, that's something I can see being a, you know, a page on the Facebook thing.
sure.
Not that, you know, necessarily that the basketball team won last night, but you know, the things that don't get,
Here's what
you know,
what we really do at school, it isn't just that.
yeah,
Here's a,
show all the other things that
Right.
we do. Yeah,
Well, I think
along with the other stuff. I mean,
it's all
sure,
important,
sure.
it's just.
it's all part of the school.
I just think there's lots of things that don't even get mentioned, let alone
Well,
promoted, you know, to make those
Thing
kids
is,
feel
though, I
good.
think that
Yes.
quiz bowl was on the webpage, I think I saw it on the webpage, that, cause when you mentioned third and fourth, like, I think I remember seeing it on the
yeah,
webpage.
it-
So
it-
it's
it was
out
on
there, it's just that, you know, are we getting the traffic to the webpage and things
Right.
like that? Or to the Facebook
People,
page,
I
you
think a
know?
lot of people don't typically look at the web page for that kind of stuff, though.
Right, there's so many options when you get on the
Yeah.
webpage.
It'd be nice just to pull it up, they'll see, hey, this is what's going on.
You know, or, you know, if Jim isn't at an activity or doesn't have a picture in
Yeah.
the paper,
Well,
That's right, that's the other thing about being able to put our own, you know, our own thing, you know, one takes a picture of the group and boom, it's out there. Third and
Everybody's
fourth-
got it.
Third and
He's
fourth
at
place.
everything, it seems like.
Right.
He's,
Yeah.
we
I don't
just,
know
I
how
think
long
we
that's
get
gonna be able
spoiled
to
by
keep
having
up.
him there and just assuming.
Oh,
he
yeah.
do it.
He's,
yeah.
okay, so changes on that one, is there any other, does the overall format seem like something that everybody would be able to, contribute and do?
Well,
Really, oh,
sorry, in terms of a rubric, do we want to like list in there what an excellent rating would get, like, give examples and say, in order to get an excellent, this is what we're looking for specifically, in order to get an above average, this is what we're looking for specifically. I mean, I think that's how rubrics are traditionally made anyway. Because you have very
Well, we would
specific
have to
things
come up
that.
with, those specific things for each question.
Right, I mean, it would be a lot, but, and then we could go on these
That's-
questions that,
yeah, I mean, you can, I'm okay with this to start with,
Start
but,
with.
I mean, I'm gonna be shooting in the dark here, cause I don't really know. Well, it's still pretty arbitrary as far as what you consider average, or what Stan considers average, or, average.
that's what I'm saying, have a list
Well,
of very specific things, and then we say, well, these are all the things, and you didn't do anything beyond that, so it's an average, or if you did all of these things, then it's an excellent. That way we're very specific, and we don't have this arbitrariness of, I think it's excellent, but someone else doesn't.
I think though, when you go to sit down and try to come up with those exact.
I know,
Yeah.
and really, like,
I don't have that much time, I can tell you that. I
well,
mean,
really, like, you could just start with one or two items, and just say, at least have this to be average, at least have this to be above average, You start simple, and then you can, as you use it and go through it, you add more things, and say, I think we need to add that or whatever, but,
Well, if Jim fills this out, and gives us a baseline, to me, as long as there's improvement, it pretty well takes away half of it,
yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't expect, because we've never focused on any of this stuff,
Right.
I wouldn't expect him to be above average on any of it. I mean, it's just, I'm not saying they don't do it, just like the data and the documents, we've never had that, so how,
Yeah, I'm talking,
well, for
in
this,
years
I
to
mean,
come.
Right.
For
this
one's
year,
just gonna be-
maybe just this is all we do for this year, and then go beyond that, and say, we need a little more specifics here, and here's what they are. Just throwing it out there.
Well, like the technology, we haven't implemented all the stuff we want to. You couldn't give him a grade on the technology now anyway, because we gave him a whole nother avenue to pursue.
Well, but see, like the in-service thing, I mean, that's something that we didn't even,
No,
No.
right.
we didn't even know about, so.
Well, and that's like, average, what do we have to compare with? I mean, we're not in everybody else's districts, so we have to decide what we like and what's good for us. I mean, you can't compare them to anybody else, because we don't know.
Well, we could change them to that wording to anything you want. It's just something
No,
I mean, if we don't like, I'm open to whatever,
I think it's a good place to start.
Yeah.
I mean, this year, I just think we gotta get a baseline.
Okay. So are you good with that, Ms. Triple, if
Yeah, I'm not
you
sure
just-
if I can get all this done by the board meeting.
Well, no, I
No,
don't think,
Okay, fine.
But,
oh, you mean for this next?
No, we can wait.
For the January one?
No,
No.
yeah.
I would say let's shoot for the February one for you to have, would be my idea.
That's fine.
And that would give him some time to really think about, and also to figure out what the questions
Yeah, what we're asking of him?
are.
I'll do my best.
Alright, well, I guess that's all. Okay, I guess then was anyone else thinking that we was gonna do anything different on the evaluation? I,
That's fine.
Okay.
I didn't know for sure.
okay.
why I put that on there like that.
Okay. Anybody have anything we need to talk about specifically that we need to go on executive session for this part?
Anyway, you can't. Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's fine.
I mean, related to the
To the
evaluation.
evaluation.
Okay. All right. Well, then I guess, entertain a motion. to adjourn.
Okay, so you had a spot on there for executive session, we don't need it because we're not.
Yeah, that was just
Okay, just
for
for
the
that, okay.
I just
evaluation.
wanted to go into that,
Okay.
so I put it on there.
You move-
I move that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Thank you.